Welcome back everyone. For today's video we have something slightly different. We're going to do a route recon for this weekend's upcoming gravel race, the Shawnee Pebble Pounder. The majority of this race takes place in the Shawnee State Forest and exhibits terrain from pavement to jeep track. The course will challenge both your ability to maintain speed in a pack and will test your handling with multiple sections with deep grooves, tight corners, and covered paths. I went out to ride this route a couple weeks ago and picked up a couple tips as well as some pointers to give you a heads up on the race. The Pebble Pounder route is just over 45 miles and 4,500 feet of elevation. The elevation is spread between a couple large climbs and a ton of rolling hills. With the pressure of riders around you, it's best to create your own game plan and stick to it. In addition to the variety in this race, as with most, if not all gravel races, this is a mass start event. And with all mass start events, it's easy to get sucked into a group that you really shouldn't be a part of, meaning that you need to know what kind of pace is right for you and if the group you're in is at a higher rate than what you're capable of. It's more beneficial to drop off into a group that's similar to your pace. This will be more efficient for you and will help you judge your effort and see if you can pick up the speed later in the race. Moving into the recon, I'll touch on the key selectors of the route as well as things to watch out for as you move through the course. When recording the route, I accidentally forgot to record the first climb shown right here. This climb comes after I would consider a lead into the race, the lead in being relatively flat and well compacted section of gravel that you could ride your road bike on 23s. Some may choose to set a fast pace in this opening section, and again, this is where you need to determine what you're capable of and to not bite off more than you can chew. However, if you're feeling good and want to punish those that want to latch on to the faster group, this is a great place to pick up the speed heading into the first climb and dividing the men from the boys, or women from the girls if you're on the female side. The third climb begins after a smooth, gradual pavement descent, giving riders some time to hydrate and fuel if needed. The climb begins with a grade 2 dirt road and transitions into a grade 3 smooth gravel path. There's nothing to worry about here in regards to handling. It is fairly smooth with an elevation of 300 feet for a distance of 0.77 miles, giving an average grade of 6.5%. You then move into a mile-long fairly smooth descent with a 180-degree turn nearing the end of the hill. Even this turn is quite mild as long as you keep your weight over top of the bike. Riders will be maintaining high speeds through the section and you should be able to maintain a pretty close draft as the road doesn't test your handling or perception. Making sure to watch for the infrequent pothole, you should be able to stick to those in front of you. The last climb in the first third of the race begins following that descent. Dead Man Hollow climb is 1.5 miles long with an elevation of 344 feet. This gives us an average grade of 4.4% with a false flat coming in the middle of the climb. You'll want to have some energy in the reserves for this climb, so pushing out of the last downhill might not be your best option. With a relatively shallow grade, riders will be pushing 8 to 10 miles per hour, giving some drafting benefits. Halfway through the climb, you'll encounter a yellow gate. This will obviously be open for the race, but after proceeding through the gate, the terrain transitions to a dirt/grass/leaf section, and the grade for the remainder of the climb increases, so make sure not to use too much energy before hitting the gate. Once you finish the climb, you're working yourself into 8 miles of rolling hills. These hills cut back and forth but allow for you to build up a large amount of momentum in each of the downhills. Most of the descents spike right back up into the short climbs of the rolling hills. With these rolling hills, it's super important to be in front of the group that you're part of. Yes, you'll not be getting any draft from being in the front, but I would argue that the benefits of being able to carry your speed without worrying about someone in front of you far outweighs the benefits of any draft. I was running into this issue in the pre-ride. Some people would not take their speed into the ascent of the hill. This would cause me to have to brake and use an exponential amount of energy to reaccelerate into the climb. So again, my plan is to be the front runner in this section, and if I get past or I can't find my way to the front, I'll pull out of the draft and ride a separate line that allows me to carry my momentum through the section. To finish off the first third of the route, you have the second largest descent starting in grade 2 and moving into pavement once you hit the service gate. This is a 2-mile, 432-foot descent. There are a couple of switchbacks, but being on pavement, they shouldn't give you much trouble. Upon finishing this segment, you hit a 180 directly into the next climb. And let me tell you about the importance of having the route on your computer. I had no clue that this turn was coming up and I wasn't paying any attention. I almost made my day much worse, but thankfully with these large tires and fresh brake pads, I saved myself and kept the bike up.
Oh my God.
The next climb is the State Forest Service Road 1 climb segment. The segment begins on pavement but quickly transitions back into gravel. This is a long climb that took me around 9.5 minutes, although we are not at a race pace. Strava has this segment at 1.38 miles and 430 feet of elevation, but the climb really doesn't end there. You really have another 2 miles of rolling hills that have a net of another 220 feet of elevation, leaving you at a total of 550 feet of elevation over a 2.25-ish mile climb. I'll be honest, this one hurt quite a bit, but again, the gravel is not too rough here and shouldn't really hinder anybody's ability to climb. The next segment of the course is by far my favorite. It's a winding pavement descent and it's full gas. Coming in at just under 2 miles long and 500 feet, this descent is an average of 5.4%. It's a single lane road that's in great condition. You'll have to watch for some loose leaves, and there was one section with just enough loose gravel to send you to the ER. But other than that, slow down for the 180-degree turn 2/3 of the way down and carry your speed into the paved road at the bottom of the hill. However, all good things sadly must come to an end, because this descent was like a descent into hell for the rest of the course. You're met with the largest climb of the day, coming in at 521 feet and 3.34 miles. And you're not finished there. After the climb, you get a slight break to descend, and then you're back up another 1.5 miles with an elevation gain of 310 feet, getting close to the peak elevation of the day. The climb isn't gravel, and it's definitely not paved. You're fighting through thick, uneven grass with an increased amount of resistance that you haven't felt all day. I actually got dropped in this section, in a pre-ride, mind you. I was feeling every bit of the course at this point, and this mixed with the remaining fourth of the race leaves you second guessing your decision to embark on this journey. After this climb, you have another chance to collect yourself on smooth rolling hills in preparation for the most technical portion of the course. If you're a rider with a background in mountain biking or just find yourself to be a handling aficionado, the last portion of the race can be great to make up on lost time or continue to increase the gap to the people behind you. Personally, I am neither of those and have a terrible time navigating tricky terrain. In fact, you can see me falling right about here. And in the kerfuffle of the tricky handling and lack of route on my computer, I managed to get myself lost here and do an additional unnecessary climb. But if you end up making it through what I'm calling Jeep Track, you can find yourself at the bottom of the difficult descent on the graces of recently constructed fresh pavement, only to find yourself doing one more gravel climb, 3.5 miles and 400 feet. You do eventually get to the top and have one more 2.25 mile, 300 foot descent into a final push to the finish line. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions about the route, please put them down below in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Also, consider hitting the like button if you're interested in this type of content and the subscribe button to motivate me to make more videos. Thank you all.